Hello loves, it's me, Kim. I'm coming at you today, pre-recorded from my little dark, gloomy bat cave, because I am slap bang in the middle of storms. Yesterday, storm. Today is an okay-ish day, and tomorrow there's going to be another storm. You didn't come here for storm talk, but I'm telling you. Anyway, let's crack on with today's topic, which is slow sales. But I thought I would make it because no sooner had I finished having a conversation with a friend about how this year wasn't just slow, which is perfectly normal for her at this time of year, but it just seemed to be crickets kind of a slow. But I had a comment here on YouTube from someone else saying the same thing, and you know what I'm like with patterns, and I thought, well, maybe other people are feeling this and need to see it too. And although I've done a video on this topic about 8 months ago, I think now's a time for another one, because there's another reason why sales might be a bit sluggish this year, at least to start with, and it's not just seasonal, but we're going to cover that as well. So let's dive in. Okay, so reason number one is probably the reason that you're most familiar with, and that's the fact that it's seasonal. This time of year is traditionally slow for most people, many niches and what have you, because if you think about it, we've just had Christmas. People have kind of spent often more than they would have liked, and so January, February tends to be a bit tight on the old pockets. So it's natural for people to just slow down a little bit. The second reason is something that I don't think people often think about too much, and that is just where people's heads are at this time of year. In the Northern Hemisphere, like us right here, it's dark, it's gloomy, it's muddy, it's just grim. This one, I do think this one has a kind of a minor effect on people, but it is the bleak midwinter, and often we just don't want to do anything. Sometimes we just slow right down. Coupled with that, the post-Christmas slump, it makes sense that things slow down. So I would say this goes hand in hand with the seasonal element, and one that we're all aware of. And then there's number three. Has anybody heard of this new media buzz phrase, the cost of living crisis? Because here in the UK, I hear that almost daily now. And I read a really depressing article, which I wish I hadn't seen, which said that three things were becoming luxuries: food, energy, and travel. Even here in the UK, we have things like council tax, and those bills are going up. So when all of these things are all going up at the same time, it's really putting a squeeze on families. And this, I believe, is happening worldwide, not just here within the UK. So we have to think about this. This is going to have an impact on buyer behaviour, because if people are struggling to put food in the cupboards and fuel in their car and then pay the electricity bill and stuff like that, if all of this is getting squeezed, it's very unlikely then that they're going to think, you know what I fancy doing to cheer myself up? Going on Etsy and buying myself a little something something. You see what I mean? For those of us who make our living from selling stuff, it's not fun. This is a really depressing topic. I need to put a positive spin on this. Nobody has any money! Hurrah! No, that doesn't work. No one has any money and the world is on fire! Woohoo! No! We're all a bit broke, but we're still alive. There you go, that's all I got. I'm tired. It's cold in here because I can't afford to put the heating on. In a nutshell, I think we need to, as sellers, just be aware that the cost of living crisis, or whatever the heck you want to call it, is going to have an impact on sales, and anybody who sells anything online, at least to start with this year. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know where it's going, because I don't. Remember how I mentioned in my last videos about how life happens? Life is happening, so I'm not going to jinx it by saying anything else. Okay, so what's the answer? The answer is to like this video. If it hasn't depressed you too much. I have just kicked the tripod. Okay, so the answer. I do have suggestions. Have patience and write it out. Okay, I was tired when I wrote this, but my God, that's not helpful, is it? Have patience and write it out. Pardon my wording, but what I mean by that is that peaks and troughs, and this is a trough, but that's fine, that's fine. We will survive it. The next thing is perhaps to diversify your income if you haven't already. And if you haven't already, perhaps start thinking about ways that you can do that. If you already have a job, be it full-time or part-time, keep it. If you want financial security and you have a job and one day you want to quit that job, by all means work towards that. But maybe right now, just put a pin in that one. Other ways that you could diversify your income are think about other platforms that you can sell on other than just Etsy. Which platforms you choose will depend on what you sell. Start looking into selling on social media. If you have a certain skill that you think you could teach people, you could create a course around that and you could sell that. Or if you have a service that you could offer, you could even offer your service on various platforms such as, but not limited to, Fiverr. And I'm not in any way affiliated with any of these places that I'm saying, they're just the ones that are popping into my head. And when spring arrives, the world will open up a little bit more and perhaps you can think about doing, what are they called? You stand at a table with your stuff on it and talk to people. Craft fairs, huh? And you could use the quiet time to build your mailing list, your social media accounts like TikTok. By the way, for all of you who have followed me on TikTok, thank you very much. I do apologize for the radio silence. I have no idea what to post. I did try. I need to try and figure out how I can show up without feeling like such a idiot. Or you could focus on creating new items like I'm doing. Quiet periods are a great time to work on new items and replenishing existing stock. Okay, and the last one, this sounds a bit trite, but I put it down because it's an important one. No, you're not alone. I think we as YouTubers who talk about running handmade businesses and the such, I think we kind of have a responsibility to be honest about the reality that is running an Etsy shop or handmade business, website, whatever. And that is that thousands upon thousands of dollars do not come running into your shop while you sleep. I have opinions on that, but all I will say is that there are times when things are going well, and then there are times when it can be like someone's just switched on a light or off a light, as the case may be, and sales just dry up. This is actually normal, especially if some of the items that you are selling are seasonal. And we also need to remember that what goes on in the wider world and what we see in newspapers, etc., can and do have an effect on us as Etsy sellers or handmade business sellers, or however you do it. It can trickle down and have an effect. Because right now, with the cost of living crisis, I hate that phrase so much, but with it, it's going to have an effect. For how long, I don't know. I hope not too long. But if your sales have either just dried up or they're slowing down, and that's not normal for you at this time of year, just know that perhaps that might be affecting buyer behaviour. And if so, that's not on you, it's not your fault, and it's completely out of your control. So this might be just one of those stormy tides that we have to kind of just hold on and go, oh God. And that's the reality, my friends. Sometimes life will happen and the only option is to ride it out. And there are things that you can do to make the ride slightly smoother and to prepare for the calmer seas ahead, because they will always return at some point. But sometimes the answer is to hold on tight and see if you can not fall in the sea. Okay, my metaphor has run out, as have I. So I'll see you next week. Ta-da.